The London Family Planning Summit really is a landmark event for international family planning and is a turning point in a revitalization of family planning commitment, resources, and action.
So on the 11th of July, the UK government and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation co-hosted the London Summit on Family Planning, which was held at the Queen Elizabeth Conference Centre in London. And it brought together a global movement of people who were interested and supportive of trying to increase access to voluntary family planning information, services and supplies. From the UK point of view, there were two purposes for the summit. One was to recognise the contribution that aid makes to improving development outcomes, and the other was to do something transformational about one area of development. And so the coalition really of the need to make the case for development and to highlight that there are things that we can do as aid agencies that are transformative was what really brought the summit together.
It was quite a remarkable event. It included high-level government leaders from developing countries. It included donor representatives, multilateral representatives, foundation representatives, non-governmental organization, private NGOs, and the private sector, including pharmaceutical companies, all represented. So all of the stakeholders in the international family planning movement came together.
These sort of planning donors, the initial donors that launched this, I would call it a sort of a movement, can't be seen as planning in some closed room down the hallway. We really need to make sure that we have broad stakeholder engagement, that we reach out to all the important groups out there, among them all those who are very concerned about the human rights aspect of family planning.
What was really important about the summit was that it brought together developing country leaders. We had 3 African presidents, we had ministers of health and development from OECD countries, we had ministers of health from many developing countries. And what the summit sought to do was to build on their ambitions. And when we look at the ambitions that countries themselves have, whether it be Tanzania, whether it be Senegal, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Philippines, those countries themselves are saying this is what we want to do for our women. And what the summit enabled to happen was for all those voices to come together and collectively do something that will actually impact the lives of millions of women across the globe.
The resources that were generated from the donors will be marshaled to help those countries meet their commitments to expanding access. So I think that's where it will start.
Some governments are really committed to scaling up access to adolescents, others are looking at other barriers to access. And so it was about providing all of them with a space to say this is what we need for our country to meet the needs of our women, and then for the donors and others to support countries to deliver those commitments. And what we see is actually that the commitments and the ambitions of national governments themselves are actually far exceeding the goal that we set for the summit. There's 120 million women, additional women using family planning by 2020. If you were actually to add up all the commitments that the countries themselves are making, it would exceed that enormously. But it's about supporting that in a long-term sustainable way.